Hello my brothers and sisters, this is Enemy Stand User here, and I knew this video was coming. Sukuna's bag is deep. He's got something for us soon, and while it's hilarious to see bro getting clowned as of late, that's no excuse to ignore how prep Sukuna came in clutch with the Wheel of Dharma and using Mahoraga with the 10 Shadows technique. Today's video I wanted to address some things about this Gojo versus Sukuna fight, because I don't think there's been a single stable week with fans since this fight dropped. Of course, you'd expect Gojo and Sukuna fans to go back and forth. Being honest, it's some of the most fun ever just witnessing these two sides clash. But to give a definitive winner is completely outrageous. We just don't know. We don't know what Sukuna's technique is. We don't know how far Gojo or Sukuna will be pushed, or how much more they have to show. There has definitely been a strong lean towards Sukuna because, of course, us fans want to subvert expectations. Most of us have some kind of idea that Gojo has to lose in a narrative sense, and Sukuna will continue to be an element moving forward toward the end of the series, which is a very good theory. But there must also be a lot of people who get so caught up and sure that Gojo will lose that they look at this fight and may argue Sukuna is dominating. He's playing with Gojo and had him hook, line, and sinker this whole time. And while that is partially true, given the 10 Shadows technique and the reveal that we got, we need to back up and look at this fight carefully, because they are still equal and there were still times where either one had the edge and they have to work around each other's abilities. But let's consider Sukuna's use of 10 Shadows this fight and why he used it as a contingency plan. From chapter 228, we get the biggest hint that Sukuna has something up his sleeve. He was only using his cleave and dismantle ability granted from his domain expansion, and Gojo mentions he stubbornly has been doing it, so Sukuna is withholding his own curse technique, and in their second domain expansion battle, even within the domain, he chose the riskier option to touch Gojo to avoid the short hit and break the domain from the outside, but instead, Sukuna could have actually chosen to break the domain expansion from the inside in that instance. We do not know the details, but Sukuna has been using 10 Shadows behind the scenes, presumably behind this whole fight, probably even before opening that 200% hollow purple. In 228, Gojo wonders why isn't Sukuna using 10 Shadows? Why take all these risks? Gojo clearly has an advantage when Sukuna has to use amplification to even touch him, or his own cleave and dismantle virtually has no effect without a short hit, and Sukuna's not using anything else, and Gojo wonders why. Of course, we understand now Sukuna was using the Dharma Chakra wheel, but this whole time he kept this wheel tucked away so that when Mahoraga was summoned, it may not be one shot like Gojo thinks, because it already adapted. When Gojo's nose started to bleed, it had the same effect of extreme focus or concentration, much like Yuji in Goodwill. So Gojo must have strained himself trying to see whatever Sukuna was doing, and of course he might be overwhelmed by the use of his 6 eyes. But he knows about Mahoraga, and when Mahoraga was summoned, Gojo said, "Right now?" because he never knows when it'd come out, and he certainly did not expect it when he had Sukuna frozen from Unlimited Void the moment Gojo had the upper hand. Mahoraga adapted to Unlimited Void in mere moments, and is probably going to give Gojo quite a challenge if it's adapted to more than just his domain. Now, we don't exactly know when the wheel was summoned, but if Gojo just caught on to Sukuna using the wheel now, it must have been up likely for the entire duration of this fight. Gojo would have noticed everything Sukuna is doing with his 6 eyes, including an entire incantation to summon the wheel. The hand sign seal must summon the Dharma Chakra, but the empowered words, "with this treasure I summon," probably calls forth the Shikigami Mahoraga. Since the wheel adapts and analyzes attacks, did Sukuna get hit on purpose then? Well, if he wanted to beat or adapt to Unlimited Void in the first place, he would have just gotten hit by it instead of proactively clashing with Gojo every domain expansion battle. So Mahoraga was likely a contingency plan for Gojo just in case. Mahoraga is a really big element in this fight. He is literally huge. Sometimes I might see fans snap that because of the fraud Kuna allegations, they mention, well, Gojo had the help of 3 people with his 200% hollow purple attack at the start. And while that is true, Gojo didn't plan on winning with that move. I even think he was called the world's strongest trickster, but that attack basically did nothing for the fight at the start. And I wouldn't compare those two moments having the same weight in this scenario or in this fight. Both pretty grimy moves, but Mahoraga will definitely make a difference in this fight. Sukuna is pretty sneaky for how he operates, but he's making the right moves. His battle IQ is very impressive, and he's approaching Gojo in the smartest way that he can to deal with perhaps the strongest opponent that he's likely ever faced. And after 229 chapters, we still have yet to see his real curse technique revealed. I often see in the community that current Gojo, with prison realm experience, is over Heian era Sukuna. And I did agree with that because really, there's zero reason to use Mahoraga if Sukuna already had a way to deal with Gojo and the Limitless technique. However, we have no clue what Sukuna actually has, and nothing can be said for a certainty. Looking at it now, it's not even just enough to be over Heian era Sukuna. Gojo's gonna have to really push this Sukuna as well, and he will have to find a way to also deal with Mahoraga. If it already adapted to Limitless like the red, blue, the neutral infinity, and even hollow purple, then Gojo will most likely have to use some kind of maximum technique to defeat Mahoraga. So perhaps it uses a different application of his own ability. But Mahoraga can only be defeated by a new attack before it can adapt. It won't die simply because Gojo is stronger than him. A lot of the times I see fans say that Sukuna beat it, so Gojo can beat it too. And yes, of course, Gojo can beat it, but he has to be creative and use something new, or Mahoraga will simply adapt and overcome. Much like Yorozu's battle in that situation, Sukuna took the attacks with the wheel and analyzed them for the Dharma Chakra, and once the Dharma Chakra spun, Mahoraga quickly turned the tides of battle and it was victorious. I trust Gojo will prove he will not go down so easily even when Sukuna counters him, because there is so much more that he needs to accomplish to leave his mark on Sukuna. Once again, like I said, Sukuna's bag is deep. 10 Shadows is only the beginning, and his own curse technique with Cleave and Dismantle is the tip of the iceberg. But Sukuna's battle IQ is extremely high. It probably might even be greater than Gojo's at this point, but Sukuna still has things to do. He has Yorozu's gift to use, he has his own curse technique to reveal, Megumi needs to be addressed. According to Kenjaku, Gojo needs to make a way to cripple Sukuna so that his students could fight him, or make a way to save Megumi. It's crazy I talk like Gojo will lose, but Sukuna seemingly has a lot more left to do in the story. As far as stakes and impact goes to the series, it makes a little bit more sense for Sukuna to walk away from this fight, but I'm not Gege. It's a more general view that Sukuna would survive. Maybe they both can somehow survive, but who knows? Thank God Gege's in the kitchen cooking, because I'm sure no matter who wins, we will actually get a very satisfying conclusion. That's it for this one, guys, but if you guys are interested, consider getting an awesome peripheral setup with Swipe mouse pads. They recently launched a wave of new full-size mouse pads with an awesome lineup and a new artist, so if you brothers and sisters are interested, you guys can click the link in the description below and use my discount code EnemyStandUser1 to get a 15% off on these awesome pads. I personally enjoy the Akatsuki Cloud pad, but now they have deals on Jujutsu Kaisen mouse pads like characters like Yuta and the legend himself Gojo, and also other awesome animes like in Naruto. So if y'all awesome brothers and sisters want these awesome mouse pads, you can check that out below. This definitely has been a very wild ride the last couple of weeks. I'm sure it's going to get even crazier as we approach the conclusion of this fight, but there has to be a shift in perspective. Proud Kuna is funny, but it's such a cop-out to actually let it take away from this fight. We all know Sukuna has more, he will show more, and 10 Shadows is now part of his arsenal, so Sukuna is going to utilize it. Now, when Gojo turns around and promptly deals with 10 Shadows at its peak, this truly will be our Jujutsu Kaisen. Gojo will be the one to show Sukuna what it means to be strong. That's what I think. Let me know what you awesome guys think in the comments below. I hope to do more streams and concise content in the future to share my thoughts. Gojo vs Sukuna has been awesome. We made it, my brothers and sisters. Enjoy it. I hope this fight goes down as one of the greatest. The payoff so far as reveals and curse techniques have been great, and I hope you awesome guys have fun with it. But this has been Enemy Stand User, and I'll see you awesome brothers and sisters in the next one. Bye-bye.